here are 10 fun drawing ideas for Procreate when you are bored. I've created 10 new fun and easy drawing projects for you, which are perfect if you just want to relax and have fun and spend some time with your iPad and the app Procreate. For each of these projects, I have added color palettes linked in the description. We will be using brushes that are already in the Procreate app, and for each of these projects, we'll be working on a canvas that is 2500 pixels by 2500 pixels. So go ahead, follow all of these projects one by one, or just pick your favorites. Do let me know in the comments if you have a favorite. And then if you are ready, if you have some snacks available, some drinks, and your iPad is charged, then let's get started. For our first fun project, we'll create a colorful animal portrait. First, you need to import a photo of your own pet or another animal, and then you need to lower the opacity of the layer with the photo. So go to your layer menu and then tap the N, and then you can lower the opacity to, for instance, 35% or whatever you like, and then you need to make a new layer on top of this. So tap the plus, and then we are going to adjust one of the Procreate brushes and turn it into a color changing brush. Now I would like to go to the inking brushes and use the dry ink brush, but you can use any painting brush that you like for this effect. So the dry ink brush, tap your brush and then go to color dynamics and then go to stroke color jitter and turn up the hue. And that way every stroke you lay down will have a different hue. Then tap done, and then let's grab a nice bright color. Can be whatever. I'm not going to turn up the opacity fully. I'll go in this area. And now when you make strokes, you see every stroke has a different color. It's just coincidence that we have 4 strokes of green, but you'll see that we'll get loads of colors. So let me remove this. I think the size is pretty nice. The opacity should be at 100%. Maybe we can go a little bit bigger, maybe 20%. And then let's just make sure that we create the outlines for our animal. So we'll go around the face. And you don't have to be super precise. This is like a very expressive portrait. So it can have some wiggles, some wobbles. And if you keep your pen on the screen, you will have that same color. So you can make longer strokes with a single color, and every time you lift it and make a new stroke, you'll get a new color. And make sure that you go over all of the features of your animal. Make that iris. We have this eye. I'll color it in. We have this marking, and of course we need to create a shape for the nose. We'll go for something like this. Keep it very simplified. And we need the mouth and a chin area. Now, I like it to be a different color from that mouth. So sometimes you need to make multiple strokes to get something different. Now we can follow the markings a little bit. And overall, you want to fill your portrait with lots of color, with lots of strokes, also random little wiggles to fill all those areas. Here for the neck region, we can keep it a bit more simple. I want most of the brush strokes to be in the face area. Here we can create some furry texture like this. Maybe a blob over here. Some color underneath its chin. And try to vary the sizes of the strokes. You can also make some smaller little dabs in between. Some like fur texture. And try to make those little strokes in that direction that the fur is growing in. And sometimes you can make a bit of a bigger blob. And here we'll go in that direction of the fur again, making some of these like splashes of color. Maybe color that ear area in a bit. Let's also color in the nose. And it's really okay if it's a little bit messy. Sometimes you can make some wiggles like this. And to make the features of the face pop out a little bit more, you can grab a pure black by double tapping here. And then we can use that black on the eyes for the upper line and for that iris. And let's also use it for the nose. And the mouth. You can give him a slight little smile. And if you want to continue adding more of that previous color, then you can just go back to that one and continue adding shorter little strokes. And every once in a while, it's also handy to turn off your photo to see what it looks like. And you can also keep it turned off and then just see where your portrait needs some more little strokes. And that's how you can create a fun and colorful animal portrait. Now, I would highly advise you to go ahead and experiment with different brushes, and most of all, just let go of perfectionism. Make it messy and expressive. For this next project, we are going to create these glowing stars. First, let's drop in a background color. We will use this color over here, very dark first color in the first row. Then we'll make a new layer on top of this, so tap the plus. And for the color, we'll grab this one, second color in the second row. And for the brush, we'll use the monoline brush. Make sure to set it to 100% opacity, and I have the size at 10%. And then we are going to draw a star. You can do that by going up like this, and down, back up to here, to the right, and then back to the starting point. Then hold your pen in place to make it switch to a quick shape. And then if you go to edit at the top, you can zoom in and you can adjust it a little bit. Then once you're happy with your star, you can drag in the color, use continue filling and tap these areas. And now we have a nice little star. Now let's go to the move and transform tool. That's the little arrow at the top. Make sure that it's set to uniform. And then we can rotate it, move it around, and we are going to fill our canvas with these stars. We are going to duplicate this one. First, tap the arrow. Then you can swipe down with 3 fingers and use duplicate. And now we have a duplicate star. We can make it smaller. We can move it around. Then tap the arrow again and just repeat that step and duplicate this one. And now if for any reason you can't do the 3 fingers swipe, then you can always just go to your layer menu and duplicate the star there. You can just slide to the left, tap duplicate, and then go to that move and transform menu and just duplicate them like that. And then just keep duplicating them until you have something like this. Then once you have this, you can merge all of the stars together by pinching them. Just don't merge them with the background color. Now we'll go to the magic wand and then to bloom. Turn that up a little bit by sliding to the right, and then play around with the size and the burn. So we'll get a nice glow. We'll turn up the burn to 100%. Let's set the bloom to 60. And for the size, let's stick with 29. Then tap the magic wand to get out of there. And then let's do this again. Let's use another bloom. Turn that up. I want to turn up the burn just to make them a bit brighter. Go for 30% bloom and 20% in size, and the burn is set to max. You see how these stars get a little bit rounded? I like this look. Let's tap the magic wand, and then we are going to add some color to our sky. Let's tap layer 1 and then tap the plus, and then we'll go to the spray paint brushes and use the medium nozzle. And then for this brush, we'll set the opacity to 60%, and let's set the size to 50. Then for the color, we'll grab this one first, second color in the first row, and let's add some blue, some lighter color behind our stars. And here below, I also want to add some pink with that first color in the second row. Let's make the brush a little bit bigger. Let's go for 80% and add a little bit of pink here with gentle pressure. Then we'll switch to the third color in the first row and add that here in the center at the bottom. Nice little glow. Then we'll move to the fourth color in the first row, and we'll make the brush a bit smaller again. We'll set it to 50% and then brighten this area up even more. Making these rounded motions, we can also add a few little dabs in the outer areas. Some blue around this star. Next, I want to add some pink stars to our scene. We'll do that on top of the other layers. So we'll tap the plus, and then we'll grab that pink first color in the second row, and we will go back to the monoline brush over here, and then we'll make some smaller stars. So let's make a star shape again. Hold your pen in place, go in here, use edit, and adjust your star a little bit. Just by moving these handles and then dragging the color. Use continue filling, fill the shape, and then go to the move and transform tool, make it a little bit smaller. And now we can go ahead and duplicate this again. So spread some pink stars over your canvas until you have something like this. And then once you have these stars, you can pinch them together again in the menu. Just don't pinch them together with any of the other layers. And now we can go to the magic wand again to bloom, slide to the right, and play around with the size and burn until you get a nice little glow. And we can just repeat this. Now I have the bloom set to 88%, size at 24, and burn at 98. Then we can tap the magic wand and then tap it again, go to bloom again for an extra boost of bloom. I'll go for something like this. The bloom is at 86% now, size at 12, burn at max. Then we can go to the layer menu and we can adjust the layer blending mode. We can tap the N and we can set this to add. That will make them look a little bit brighter. And once you have these stars, you can also play around with adjustments. You can go to the magic wand and go to a hue, saturation, brightness, for instance. You can play around with the brightness if you want your stars to look a little bit lighter. You can change the color if you like. I'll just stick with this pink but I have turned up the brightness a little bit to 73%. And for the yellow stars, let's go back to the menu. For the yellow stars, I'd like to do the same. Let's go to the magic wand, then to use saturation brightness. And I want these to be a little bit warmer, a little bit closer to the warm tones, to the pink. So I have set the hue to 36%. I feel like it blends a bit better this way. Next thing we'll do is make a new layer on top of these layers. So we'll tap the plus at the top. We'll set this layer blending mode to add, which is just great for light effects. And then we'll go to the luminance brushes over here and use the light pen, and we are going to add a whole bunch of stars. And for those stars, you can use the pink, you can use the yellow, and you can use the blue. I'll start off with the blue, fourth color in the first row. I have the opacity of this brush at 100%, and I have the size at 80. With this brush, the harder you press, the bigger your star will be. So try to vary that a little bit. And I'd like to have the most stars here in the center, like a big cluster of stars in that light area. So just make these taps. And as you can see, the size varies. If you press harder, you'll get a bit of a bigger star. So just go and add these in random areas. You don't have to follow my lead exactly, just place them where you feel they would feel comfortable. So just random spots, and then once you have a bunch of these light blue ones, you can switch to the yellow, for instance, second color in the second row, and add some of these bright yellow stars as well. It's all up to you. I like these yellow ones right here where we have those warmer colors. They nicely match there. Then let's also switch to the pink, first color in the second row. They also look very nice in this warm area. Vary the size. Some over here. Try to nicely spread them. And we could actually also use this color, second color in the first row. It's a bit of a darker blue. You can also use that for more blue stars that are slightly different from the brighter blue stars. So just try to fill a few gaps with this color, or you can go back to the bright blue or whatever color you like until you have nicely filled your sky with stars. Let's zoom out a little bit just to see if our edges need a few more stars. Don't forget those. And then for a final touch, I'd like to add some pink glow to some of the stars. Let's go to this layer, then tap the plus. Then let's set the layer blending mode to color dodge this time, which is also great for light effects. And for the brush, we will go to the airbrushing brushes and use the soft brush. And for the color, we'll use our bright pink. Now, the opacity of this brush is at 60% and the size is at 14. And let's go behind a few of these stars and add a little pink glow. Also behind our pink stars, we can add a little bit. It adds a nice little effect. And that's how you can create a bright starry sky. In this next project, we are going to create an abstract watercolor piece. This is a great way to just turn off your brain and just have some fun with paint. So what we'll do is we'll use the monoline brush under calligraphy, set it to black, and the opacity should be at 100%. Let's set the size to 30%. And then what we'll do is just make random lines. So just draw a line, hold your pen in place so it snaps to the quick shape. And just make a bunch of lines. Every time you need to hold your pen in place to make it snap to the quick shape. And this just reminds me of what I did as a kid, just making a bunch of random shapes on a paper and then coloring them all in. And that's pretty much what we'll be doing for this little project. It's just relaxing, nothing too complicated. Maybe one over here. Try to find some nice shapes, a nice balance. Maybe something like this. I think we got some nice shapes here. Now we'll make a new layer underneath this one. So first we need to tap the plus, then we'll drag this one underneath. And now we are going to use watercolor brushes to color in these different shapes. So we'll go to the brushes, then to water, and then we'll start with the wet sponge. And I have selected a bunch of colors, but of course you can use your own colors. Let me start with this orange one, first color in the first row. Now the opacity is at 100% and the size, let's set that to 30%. And let's just first add a bunch of orange here at the top. We're just going to wash all over, add some color. Let's also use this yellow second color in the first row. Go over again. And then at the bottom, maybe we can add some blues there. Maybe this purple. First color in the second row. Let's go over here. Got a nice little wash. Now I want to work on some individual shapes, and an easy way to do that is by using the selection tool, the S shaped ribbon, set it to freehand. Just make sure that color fill is not turned on. And then you can go in here and use that selection tool to select some of these shapes. And then when you do that, you can only paint inside of the shape. So that's an easy way to keep it tidy. So just select a few of them that you want to work on. Maybe this one. Or perhaps this one. And then when you go to your brush, you can only paint inside these shapes. So we can add some more purple here, or we can switch to a blue, like the second color in the third row. And we can start adding some blues here. And then at the top, maybe we can add some of this more orangey red, third color in the second row. And then you can turn off the selection and make a new selection. So tapping it again, and I will select some other shapes. Just random. Each artwork will be unique. Tap in the corners of these shapes. Maybe this big one. And then we can grab the brush again, but this time we'll grab the wash brush and it'll give a bit of a more opaque look. So let's use this orange that we already have and gently go over here, making this a bit more intense. By the way, I have the opacity at 100% and the size is at 10. So here at the top ones, we'll add some orange, maybe a little bit here. And we can also add some of this yellow third color in the first row. But really you can make your own color decisions, of course. And then as we move down, let's move to these colors, to that pink second color in the second row. A little bit over here. And then to the purple first color in the second row. And at the bottom, a bit of blue. Let me grab this one. Second color in the third row. And then turn off the selection again. Now continue adding color to all of these shapes until you have something that might look a bit like this. Or it'll look totally different, of course. Then what we'll do is we'll go to this top layer with our black lines. And these black lines are a bit like tape. This is what you could also do in real life with tape. Just put a bunch of tapes on paper, then add watercolor, and then remove the tapes. And at this stage, we are going to remove those tapes. We are going to tap this layer and then use copy. Then we'll turn this off and we'll go to this layer and then we'll tap it, add a mask. And then on this layer, we are going to swipe down with 3 fingers and use paste. Then you can tap the arrow to get out of here. And now we have removed the tapes and we have a nice abstract watercolor artwork. For this project, we are going to create a cute cat. And to do that, we will make use of the symmetry tool in Procreate. And that way you can draw at both sides at the same time. Now to turn that on, you need to go to the wrench, then to canvas, and then turn on drawing guide here. Then go to edit drawing guide. And then here at the bottom, tap symmetry. And then you can tap done. And then when you go to your layer menu, you will see that your layer is now assisted. And that means that whatever you draw on the left side will also show up on the right side. Now for our brush, we are going to use the gloaming brush, which you can find under drawing. And for the color, we'll use the first color in the color palette, which of course you can download through the link in the description. It's totally free. Now the opacity of the brush is at 100% and I have the size set to 10%. And now with this brush, the harder you press, the thicker your line will become. At least if you are using a pen that has pressure sensitivity like the Apple Pencil. I will start by making a line over here. Like this. And use less pressure as you move downward. This is like the shoulder of our cat. And then a bit to the right of this line, we'll make a curve like this for the head. Then we'll go up here and make a triangular shape for the ear. Then go down like this. And then make a line like this for the top of the head. Then here you can make a little line for the chin. And then for the legs, let's start here a little bit below this line, a little bit to the right. We'll make the paws. And then we'll start here and make the hind leg. And we'll make a line here in between. Then we'll make a curve here. And these toes. And a little line like this. Then here in the center of the face, we'll make a little nose and a mouth like this by creating a little curve. Let's also add these little extra lines in the ear. And then for the eyes, start here, make a curve, rounded shape like this, and then an oval inside. Just fill that up. And then add a little eyebrow over here and some whiskers. Then for our tail, we only need one tail, of course, so we don't need symmetry now. So we need to go to the layer menu, tap that layer, and then turn off drawing assist. So now no longer will whatever we draw on one side show up on the other side. So now we can go over here and create a cute little tail. Now we have all our lines and we can start filling them in with color. First, let's give a color to our background. We can go to the layer menu and tap background color. And then for that color, I'd like to use the second color over here. Then let's make a new layer by tapping the plus in the layer menu and drag that underneath your line art layer. And then we are going to grab a different brush. Let's go to the calligraphy brushes and use the script brush. And then for our color, let's grab this one, third color in the first row, or the only row actually. And the opacity of this brush should be at 100%. I'll set the size to 12%. And to make things easier, I'll turn on Drawing Assist here. Let's tap the layer, turn on Drawing Assist. And now we'll just follow the outer edge of our cat. So we can color that in. Like this. And then we need to go here to that center. And then we can drag in the color. And then for the tail, we need to turn off Drawing Assist again, because again, we don't have two tails. So let's tap the layer, turn off Drawing Assist, and then we'll go along the outside of the tail and drag in the color. Next, we'll add a bit of a pattern to our cat, and we are going to do that on a new layer. We'll tap the plus for a new layer, and now we will set this new layer to clipping mask so that whatever we draw here, it'll show up only on the shape that we already have here, our cat shape. Now for the color, we are going to grab this one. That's the fourth color in the only row that we have. And actually, let's also turn on Drawing Assist so that whatever we do, it'll be symmetrical. So we'll turn that on. And now for instance, let's add white to this little paw. Let me make a curve like this. And then let's go up to the chin, then along this lower part, and then when we reach the whisker, let's make a line like this to the eye, and then a little curve here above the nose, maybe a little bit higher. Make sure the shape is closed before you try to drop in the color. Let's close it here at the bottom, then drop in the color. That adds some nice interest. Now let's also color the ears. Let's use this color for that, the fifth color. And then let's just go over the inside of the ear and then drop in the color. Then let's make another layer on top. Let's tap the plus, and again, let's turn on clipping mask and also Drawing Assist so we can make something symmetrical. For instance, we can color the eyes. Let's use this color for that, sixth color. And then let's make like an oval shape, color that in. And let's also make two rosy cheeks. We'll do that with the fifth color. And on each side, we'll just make an oval shape like this. Next, let's add some shadow. We'll do that on another layer. We'll tap the plus, set that layer to clipping mask, and then we'll change the layer blending mode of this layer. We'll tap the N and scroll up to multiply. And now you can just use the base color of the cat. That's the third color. And when you draw on top, it'll get darker. That's what multiply does. Now first, let's turn on Drawing Assist again so we can work symmetrically. And then let's create a shape over here in between the legs. Make sure to close it before you drag in the color. And let's also add a shadow underneath the chin and a little bit over here. And then I'd like to blur the shadow a bit. And you can do that by going to the magic wand and then to Gaussian blur, then slide to the right, just slightly. Let's go for 6%. Then turn the magic wand off. And then let's also add a few other shadows. Let's add one over here, on the underside of the cat, but these will be more crisp, and also on the inside of the ear. Adding some color variety as well. And I also want to add a little shadow underneath the tail. And maybe we can add some just some color variety there. Let's first turn off drawing assist. And now we can work on the tail. We can add a little dark tip here, for instance. That's not a shadow, that's just the color of its fur. And a little shadow here. And we also need some highlights. Let's tap the plus for a new layer, and again, set that to clipping mask so that everything we draw here will always just be visible on that cat shape. Then let's grab the fourth color, our light color. And again, well, let's first start with the tail and then we can turn on drawing assist. So we can add a little highlight here. Then we'll turn on drawing assist. So we can also work on the body. We can add a little bit of light here at the top and on the top of its head and on its ears. The light is hitting at the top. Then we also need a highlight on its eyes. Let's tap the plus on a layer. Well, on the top layer, we'll tap the plus so we have a layer on top of all the others. Then let's go back to our gloaming brush, and with this light color, we are going to add a little highlight here on its eye and one over here. We don't want these highlights to be symmetrical. They need to be on the same side on both eyes. And finally, let's add a little drop shadow for our cat. Let's tap the plus for a new layer, drag that all the way to the bottom. And then for our color, let's grab this one. That's the fifth color. And for the brush, we'll go to the calligraphy brushes and grab the monoline brush. Now the opacity should be at 100%. The size is at 30, but doesn't really matter. Then let's draw an oval. Hold your pen in place. And you can tap one finger on the screen to make sure that it's like horizontal. Then let's drag in the color. And then you can go to the move and transform to the little arrow, set it to freeform. Make it a bit more flat. And if you turn snapping on over here, then you can make sure that it's in the center. Once you see that vertical orange line, you'll know that it's centered. Then let's lower the opacity of this one. We'll tap the N and slide to 55%. And then let's duplicate this. Tap duplicate when you slide to the right, and then we'll set this to 100% opacity, but make it smaller. We'll go to the move and transform tool. Let's set it to uniform and drag this handle to make this one a little bit smaller. And then tap the arrow again. Now we can get rid of our vertical line here. We can go to the wrench, then to canvas, and then turn off the drawing guide and admire our little cat. For this next project, we are going to create a minimalistic tree. And while you're at it, you'll also learn about the selection tool and layer masks. The first thing we'll do is drop in a color. We'll drop in this second color in this only row that we have. Let's drag it on our canvas. Then we'll make another shape on top. We'll tap the plus, and then we'll grab this color, third color in our only row. Let's zoom out a little bit and then go to the selection tool. We'll set it to rectangle and turn on color fill. Now this is a great way to make rectangles or squares that have really nice crisp corners. So let's make a square or a rectangle like this. Then we'll go to the move and transform tool and make sure you have snapping turned on, and now you can make sure that it's centered. So let's go for something like this. We need that vertical orange line. Next, we are going to add a layer mask to this layer. We'll tap the layer and then add a mask. And when you have a layer mask and you draw or paint on it with black, you will mask parts of this layer. And we are going to do that with the selection tool, the S-shaped ribbon, and we'll set it to ellipse this time with color fill turned on, and the color should be set to black. And now when we make these circles or ovals, every time you let go, it'll get filled with black, and because it's filled with black, it'll mask parts of that layer. Now I can set it to freehand to select this bottom part. So we have this nice cloud shape. We are going to do the same with our bottom layer. So we'll tap that and use mask, then go back to the selection tool and set it to ellipse and make more cloud-like shapes. Just make a nice variety as we move to the right. And then you can use freehand again, go along the shape, and make sure that everything is selected here. And then tap the S shape ribbon again. Then let's make a new layer on top of the others. So let's go to the top and then tap the plus. And now we are going to create our tree crown. For our brush, we need the monoline brush again. And for our color, we need this one. That's the 6th color. And let's draw a circle like this. Hold your pen in place, tap one finger on the screen for a perfectly round circle. Then let's go to the Move and Transform tool. Make sure that it's in the center and place it a bit above those cloud shapes, about here. Then we'll go to the wrench, then to Canvas and turn on our drawing guide. Then go to Edit Drawing Guide and turn on Symmetry. Then we'll tap Done, and when you go to your layer menu, you will see that this layer is assisted. Now we can draw on 2 sides at the same time. We're going to add more circles. We'll hold your pen in place, tap one finger on the screen for a perfectly round circle. And you can also tap circle here at the top to move them around like this, and then just tap the brush again and make another one. Hold your pen in place, tap one finger on the screen like this, and then let's also make one in the center here. Then go to circle at the top. Let's move it upward a bit. So you get something like this. Then we can start dragging in the color, and you can use continue filling to fill all of these shapes. So now we have a nice minimalistic tree crown. Next, we'll make the tree trunk. Let's do that on another layer underneath. First tap this one and tap the plus. Then make sure that you turn on drawing assist so that we also have symmetry over here. Then grab this brown color, 4th color, and then let's make a line from here downward. Hold your pen in place, go for something like this, and then make sure that the top and the bottom are both closed before you drag in the color. Then let's turn off drawing assist. We'll go to the layer, tap it, and turn that off so we can make some extra branches without it being symmetrical. Just make some lines, and every time you can hold your pen in place. So it'll look something like this. Now I'd like to alter the shapes a bit over here. Let's go back to our layer mask, grab the selection tool again, set it to ellipse, but this time set the color to white. You can just double tap here. I want some reversed shapes over here behind our tree. And I also want to add a bit of color variety there. Let's go to the layer over here, and then for our brush, we will grab the soft brush under airbrushing, and for the color, we'll grab this one, 5th color. The opacity is at 60%. Let's set the size to 25, and let's go over this area and add a little bit of that darker color there. Then let's also add some variety to our tree crown. Let's tap that layer and turn on alpha lock. That way we can paint outside of the shape. Then let's grab this color, the lighter green, 7th color. And let's make the brush smaller. Let's go for 4%. And let's make these rounded shapes. Go over multiple times. And then if you want to soften it a bit, you can go to the magic wand and then to Gaussian blur and slide to the right a bit. Let's go for 9%. Then let's make a moon shape. Let's tap the plus for a new layer, and then let's grab white, this 1st color, and for the brush you need the monoline brush under calligraphy, and then we can simply draw a circle and then hold your pen in place, tap one finger on the screen, and drag in the color. Then one more thing, a little tiny drop shadow underneath our tree, let's go to this layer, then tap the plus, then turn on Drawing Assist, and then for the color, we'll grab that blue again. Third color over here. And then for our brush, let's use the script brush. With the script brush, the harder you press, the thicker your line will become. Now the opacity should be at 100% and the size is at 12. And then let's go from the center, press hard, and then press lightly as you go to the outer part. Now it isn't entirely tidy. We need a little bit more here in the center, making that more straight. But what you can also do is tap and hold the eraser to make it switch to the script brush. And then we can use the eraser. We can start here and just hold your pen in place and then move that and find the perfect way to make that nice and crisp. So you get something like this. Now finally, of course, you can go to the wrench, to canvas, and then turn off the drawing guide to get rid of that vertical line. And there you have your minimalistic tree. For this next project, we are going to create a fun black and white planet doodle. Now first, we'll start off by creating some circles using the monoline brush under calligraphy. And for this project, all you need is pure black. So just double tap here at the bottom to grab black. And then for your monoline brush, you should set it at 100% opacity. And for the size, you can go for something like 30%. And then we'll draw a bunch of circles. Every time you draw a circle, hold your pen in place and tap one finger on the screen to make it snap to the quick shape and a perfectly round circle. And make a variety of circles with different sizes. And of course, you can also tap circle at the top if you want to move it around a bit. And then just tap the brush again to get back and draw even more circles. One over here, maybe a small one here. I'll go for something like this and then create a shape around it. Around these circles. A bit like a cloud-like shape. Close to those circles. Just like this. And of course, you can also hold your pen in place sometimes to make a nice smooth curve. Nice and close to the circles, which will become planets, and then drag in the color. Now we have our base, and now we can start adding stuff to our planets. And for the brush, I'd like to go to the inking brushes and use the studio pen. It has these nice crisp ends. It gets thicker if you press hard and thinner if you press lightly. And for the opacity, you should have that at 100%. And the size is at 10% right now. And then for each of these planets, you can start adding some touches. Follow that curve of the planet, adding lines, just like this. And you can add little circles, little thingies, little craters maybe, or a little swirl. And maybe some dashes. Just adding texture to these planets. Something like this. And maybe some shading like this on this side. Again, following the curve of that, well, that three-dimensional planet. But you can also go for some wiggles, perhaps, on this one. And again, following that roundness of the planet. And over here. And then some dashes, adding some shading. you can also add rings to your planet. If you tap and hold the eraser, it'll switch to the studio pen. And then with the eraser, you can make a curve like this on the outside of your planet, and it'll go to the other way. Just not quite touch the side of the planet there. Leave a little gap. And perhaps another line over here. And then you can go back to your brush and refine it. You can make a line like this to the other side and underneath, creating that effect of a ring. Maybe make this a bit more crisp or create a bit more space here in between. You can just go back and forth between the eraser and the brush to create that effect. Here I'll make some more rounded lines around the planet. Try to vary that a bit. Sometimes some more space in between, sometimes a bit less. But every time following that curve a bit. And here on the underside, we can add some more like hatching. Maybe some diagonal lines like this. Adding some shadow effect. And this way you can go along all of these planets and give each of them a slightly different pattern, like this. And now is actually a perfect moment to pause the video and check out these planets to get some inspiration. Next, we are going to add some interest to the outside of this shape. And we'll do that by just going in here and adding extra lines, adding extra touches, going outside of that shape, little curls, little lines going out like this or inward, little circles, dots, all kinds of things you can think of to add interest. Here we can also grab the eraser and add more interest on the inside. For instance, let's create a little oval. We can make a little like vortex. Make a swirl. And make these shapes bigger as we move towards the outside. Then it'll merge with that rounded shape that we already have. We can add little dots here. And then you can go back to black, add a swirl here. And extra touches to these shapes. Maybe some lines like this. Maybe this extends a little bit. Maybe this as well. Maybe add some little lines here or some little dashes. You can add loads of stuff, little swirls on the outside. Maybe a thick line like this, and then with these little splashes. Little lines and curls. Just do whatever comes to mind to add interest to the outside here. You don't have to give it a lot of thought. Make these shapes connect. Maybe a curl like this with an extra line. And we'll do that all the way around our shape like this. And again, this is a great time to pause the video or take a screenshot and use this as an inspiration for your own illustration. Now that we have added interest to the outside of our little galaxy, let's switch to the eraser and add more interest to the inside. Let's add a whole bunch of stars. We can just make shapes like this. Make these nice rounded stars. They don't have to be super complicated. Also add little lines here to the outside. Make very simple little stars. Maybe swirls, lines, curved lines. Everything to fill all those gaps. Add a little star here. And they can be a little bit messy. You can also add extra little planets. You can add rounded shapes. You can switch back to the brush, add some lines to those. But overall, a whole bunch of stars. Using the eraser. Stars and circles, little wiggles, everything you can think of to fill in the gaps. A little star like this. And then just continue doing this until everything is filled and the entire piece looks interesting. Also go along the edges here. So if you fill everything up, you will end up with something that looks like this. And then eventually you'll have a super interesting looking space illustration. For this project, we'll create a very simple watercolor landscape. First thing we need to do is grab our first color, and for the brush, we'll use the round brush, which you can find under painting. Now the opacity of the brush should be at 100%. I have the size at 15, and we are going to make a rough little square, and it can be a bit wobbly. This will be like the frame for our watercolor little landscape. So fill it in, then drag in the color. If you have any gaps, just go over there, fix that a bit, and then we'll make a new layer on top of this. We'll tap the plus, we'll set that new layer to clipping mask so that whatever we paint, it'll only show up on this block that we have just created. I'll go to the water brushes and use the wash brush, and we'll grab this blue color, second color in the only row we have. And now we're just going to wash some colors on top here. And the opacity of this brush is at 100%. Let's set the size to 20%. And let's go over this top area, add in some blue. And maybe a little bit more, darken it a little bit. And then we'll add some pinks with the third color. Let's add some here on the sides. A little bit down here and over here. Every time you lift your pen, you will get, your pen will charge with paint, so don't lift it too often or it'll get too dark. So go for something like this. And then on a new layer, let's tap the plus and let's set that to clipping mask again. We are going to create some hilly shapes. And we'll make use of the selection tool for that. We'll grab the S shape ribbon, set it to freehand. Make sure that color fill is turned off. And then let's make a selection like this. Make a hilly shape. Loop around like this. Close the selection. Then grab your brush. And let's grab this purplish color, fifth color. And let's just go over the top. Just a little bit over here. We can also add some blue. You can play around with the colors. Add some blue at this top. And in the center, we can use some yellows maybe. That's the 7th color. Add a little bit of that here. And maybe we can also add some reds, 4th color. We just will nicely wash a bunch of colors on top here. Then we'll make another hilly shape. We'll grab the selection tool again, so tap it twice, and then make another hilly shape. A bit less peaks this time. Loop around, close it, grab your brush. Let's grab the purple again, 5th color, and make another wash. And if you go over multiple times, it'll get darker. Let's also grab this greenish color, 6th color. Add a little bit of that over here. And then we'll make another hilly shape. So we'll tap the S shape ribbon twice, make another shape here. All the way to the right, then loop around, close it, grab your brush. Let's stick with this bluish greenish color. Go over here. Let's also add some blue, 2nd color. Very gently. And then finally tap the S shape ribbon twice again for another one. Let's actually make 2 more hilly shapes. Loop around, close it. Now let's add some reddish colors, 4th color. And of course we do need the brush, not the selection tool. Let's grab the brush, go over here, add some of that reddish color. And now let's make 1 more. So tap it twice, make another hilly shape like this, close it, grab your brush. Let's grab the greenish color again, 6th color, and let's go over here. Then tap the S shape ribbon to get out of here. Now if you want to soften everything a little bit, get rid of the crisp edges, you can tap and hold the smudge tool to make your smudge tool switch to the wash brush. And then you can lower the opacity a bit to 60%, size at 20. And then you can go over here and just soften it a bit. Get rid of some of those crispest, almost crisp edges like this. Then let's create a layer underneath. Let's go here to layer 2, then tap the plus. And on this layer, we are going to create a sun. Let's grab the 4th color. And for the brush, I think we can use the water bleed brush. The opacity is at 100%, the size at 45. And let's create a big circle. Just by hand. Nice watery edge around. And then for the bottom part, let's go back to this color, 1st color, and go over the underside, make it a bit lighter. And then let's switch to the smudge tool, tap and hold it. The opacity, you can set that a bit lower to, let's go for 80%. Let's set the size to 100. Now let's go over here and soften this a bit. Just want a nice transition. I'll make round shapes, round motions, like this. Next, let's add a few clouds. Let's make a layer on top of this one. We'll tap the plus, set that layer to clipping mask, and let's set the layer blending mode to multiply. So everything will become a little bit darker, but I don't want it to be too intense. So I'll set the opacity to 65. And then for our color, let's grab our blue, 2nd color, and let's stick with this brush, but let's make it a tiny bit smaller, 25%. And let's make some wispy clouds. Just a few. And every time you lift your pen, you will get new paint. Just some shapes like this. Let's also go for the purple color, 5th one. Another cloud here. We can add some color variety. And perhaps also some red, that fourth color. Now, if you want the colors to look a bit more intense, you can make a layer on top of this, tap the plus, set the layer to clipping mask, and then tap the N to set the layer blending mode to overlay. And that's a great layer blending mode to add more intense colors. Let's grab our wash brush again, and let's grab this yellow, 7th color, and let's go over the center area, add a nice warm glow. Very gently. And on the outside, let's add some more blue. Let's grab the 2nd color. Let's go over those hills. And maybe also our sky. That makes it look nice and intense. Now finally, we are going to add a paper texture to the top of our drawing. Let's tap the plus, and we will set the layer blending mode of this layer to overlay as well. So scroll down. For the color, we'll grab this one, this gray 8 color. And for our brush, we will go to the sketching brushes and use the soft pastel. Now the opacity should be at 100%. Let's set the size to 100% as well. And then gently go over your screen. And now it's very subtle, but you can also go to the Move and Transform tool and then just make it bigger to get an even more intense texture. And tap the arrow again. And that's how you can create a cute little watercolor landscape. If you are enjoying these projects so far, then be sure to check out my Patreon page, because that's where you can have a whole lot more Procreate drawing fun. I have more than 150 tutorials there, and they range from beginner levels to more advanced levels. So over there you can strengthen your drawing muscles and have fun creating these lovely projects at the same time. So I'm looking forward to seeing you there. But now let's move on to the next project. Our next project is a cute little bee. Let's first change our background color. Let's go to the layer menu, tap background color, and then pick the first color here. Then we'll grab our monoline brush under calligraphy, and for the color, we'll grab this one, 3rd color in the 1st row. The opacity of the brush is at 100%, the size at 30, and now we are going to make an oval shape. Hold your pen in place to make it switch to the quick shape, and you can use edit at the top if you want to change it a little bit. It should be something like this. Then drag in the color, and then let's switch to the script brush. The script brush gets thicker if you press harder and thinner if you press lightly, and the opacity of this brush should also be at 100%, and the size is at 12. Now let's add a little pointy part here at the end and drag in the color. Then let's add a layer. Let's tap the plus in the layer menu, and then let's grab this color, 5th color in the 2nd row. And now we are going to make the stripes for our bee. Do make sure to go to the layer and set it to clipping mask so that our stripes will only show up on the bee body. So let's make a line like this. And you can hold your pen in place to make it nice and smooth. A nice smooth curve. Make sure to close the shapes so you can drag in the color later. And another curve over here. Close those shapes. And also color its behind. Or its behind. And then drag in the color like this. And let's also give him a face. Let's make an oval here. And one here. And a little mouth. And then on a layer on top, let's tap the plus. This one should not have clipping mask, otherwise we won't be able to create these antennae. We'll make a curve like this, and another one, and add these circles to them. And for the legs, we need a layer underneath. So let's tap the plus and then drag that layer underneath the body so we can easily add these legs. And we need 6 of them. Next, let's add some shading to its body. Let's go to this layer, and this time we'll tap Alpha Lock. This is also a way to not go outside of the shape, but still be on the same layer. For the brush, we'll go to the spray paints and use the medium nozzle. And for the color, we'll use the 4th color. Now the opacity of the brush is at 60%, and let's set the size to 20. And let's go along the underside of its body to add a little bit of shadow. Then we'll switch back to the calligraphy brushes and grab the script brush again. And we'll grab this pink, 2nd color in the 1st row. And we'll give it these little rosy cheeks because they always look cute. Then of course our bee needs wings. Let's make a layer on top of the others. Let's tap the plus. And then for the color, we'll grab this one, 4th color in the 2nd row. And then we'll start here, make a big shape like this, close it, and drag in the color. We need another one behind our bee shape. Let's place it on a layer on top of this one. Let's tap the plus. And then again, now we'll start about here, make a rounded shape, make sure to close it, and drag in the color. Then on this layer, let's tap it and turn on Alpha Lock. And then we'll grab that spray paint brush again. And we'll set it to that pink, 2nd color in the 1st row. And we'll add a little bit of shading right here along that edge. And then we'll go back to the calligraphy brushes to our script brush. First, we'll grab the black, 5th color in the 2nd row. And we'll go along the edge of the wing like this. And then let's also add a yellow stripe with the 4th color in the 1st row. Make a line like this. Then let's go to the other wing, tap that, and also turn on Alpha Lock. Then we'll grab that spray paint brush again and the pink color, 2nd one in the 1st row. And also here we'll go along the lower edge, add a bit of shading. Then we'll grab the script brush again under calligraphy, grab the black color, 5th color in the 2nd row. We'll add a dark edge. And then we'll grab the 4th color in the 1st row and also add a shape like this. Next, we are going to add some extras to our scene. Let's first make a new layer on top of the others. Let's tap the plus. Then let's go to the wrench, to canvas, turn on the drawing guide, then go to edit drawing guide and go to symmetry. Then you can tap options and we'll set it to radial. And then let's move this around. Let's grab this little dot and move it over here and then tap done. Now we can make use of radial symmetry. Let's use this color that we already have, and we already have our script brush. Now we'll go in here and we will create a simple flower. We can just go along those lines and create a shape like this. Then we can duplicate the shape so we can have multiple flowers. You can do that by swiping down with 3 fingers and tapping duplicate. And we'll place one over here. We'll tap the arrows, swipe down again, use duplicate, place one here. Then again, swipe down, use duplicate. And every once in a while, you can rotate them a bit. Swipe down, use duplicate. And one more time, duplicate it. And this time we'll make it a little bit smaller. Just make sure that you have it set to uniform here. So something like this. Then tap the arrow. Let's turn off our symmetry tool. So we'll go to the wrench, then to canvas, turn off the drawing guide. And then let's pinch these layers together. Then let's also turn off assisted drawing. Otherwise that would still be happening. We still would have that radial symmetry. So tap the layer, turn off drawing assist. And then let's add some different colors. Let's grab the 3rd one over here. Let's drag that into this flower. Let's also have a few pink ones, 2nd color. Drag that in there. And maybe a nice greenish bluish one. First color in the second row. Next, let's make a new layer on top. And let's grab this color, the black, fifth color in the second row. And with our script brush, let's just go in there and add a few details to these flowers, like those lines. And they don't have to be identical, all of them. So that's why we're doing that now and not in the beginning. And this one. And for this one, we can also just have a little dot, just for the variety. Let's also add a few little clouds. Well, we can stay on this layer and we can actually merge these together. Let's grab the fourth color in the second row and add a few very simple cloud shapes. Now you can color them in by hand or drag in the color. And maybe one over here. Now let's also add some leaves. We'll grab this color over here, second color in the second row. Let's make a shape over here. Very simple leaf shape. And one over here. And a small one here. Maybe make this one a little bit bigger. Then let's grab the black again, fifth color, and go over there, add some lines. Like this, some veins for this one as well. And then finally, this bee is super fast, so we need some lines here. Let's just make some speed lines. And also with the white, with the fourth color, you can make some lines in between. Like that. And that's it for our cute little bee illustration. For this project, we'll create these stylized watercolor houses. Super easy. We'll use one of the artistic brushes, the old beach brush. You need to set the opacity to 100% and the size to 20. And then we use these colors over here, the top ones, to create a variety of shapes. Let's start with our first color. And let's make a shape over here, a long rectangular shape. Don't lift your pen. And maybe a shape over here. We'll just make a bunch of rectangles. And some will be open like this, just like a box. Maybe a small one over here. And then we'll switch to another color, like the pink one over here, second color. And we are going to fill areas up like this. We'll have another house here. Maybe a long one over here. And one here. You can just use your imagination. Create a bunch of blocks. Maybe it'll have these shapes on top. And perhaps a house over here. Just the outline. Then we'll move to the next color, third one. Create a shape over here. One in between here. And let's also use this color, fourth color in the first row. Make a shape here. Maybe one here. Just an outline. Here as well. So we can make these open shapes and we can make these blocks that are filled. Maybe this one has a little dome. And looks a bit out of balance, so let's move this around. Let's go to the Move and Transform tool, place it in the center, and let's add some extras here to the top. So let's make the brush a little bit smaller, 10%. Maybe there are these things at the top. Some little extra touches. Maybe another pink little house with a second color. You can place that on top here. And let's also add a few like windows. Let's add some here. Maybe one over here. Let's also use the yellow color, third color, but of course you can move around between colors. Pick whatever you like. I'll also use the fourth color again for some over here, just in a few of these buildings. The ones that are still open, like the open shapes, you can add windows this way. Then we'll also use the eraser. We'll tap and hold the eraser to make it switch to the old beach brush. Make the size a bit smaller, 10%. Opacity is at 100%. And then for some of the colored buildings, we can make some openings, which will also be windows. We can just go over there, make some of these shapes. So something like this, for instance. Now let's make a new layer on top of this. Let's tap the plus. Then for the brush, let's go to the inking brushes and use the tinderbox brush. And for the color, we'll use this third one in the second row. That's actually just black. Now the opacity of this brush should be at 100%, and let's set the size to 30. And now we are going to draw in some windows and some doors. We'll start here. Create a little door here. Some windows like this. Here we can just make these black rectangles. You can make rounded doors. For the windows, you can make shapes like this. Or you can go for these shutters. Just a vertical line with these lines on each side. Open window, or you can make a filled shape, rounded door. You really don't have to give this a lot of thought. Just use your imagination. Make these very simple windows and doors. And create those for each of the buildings. This can also be a building right in between. And here you can make windows like this by creating 4 of these little squares. Here are more shutters. Making a variety of rounded shapes and more angular shapes. Maybe some windows over here with a rounded top. Open door here. Just go along all of these buildings. These until each one has a door or a window or both. Now to add an extra touch, you could add some trees. Let's tap the plus for a new layer. And then let's first grab this color, first color in the second row, to create some shapes like this for little palm trees. This one over here, maybe one here. And then we'll make a layer on top of that. We'll tap the plus, and then we'll go to the drawing brushes and grab the Eagle Hawk brush. And for the color, we'll grab the second color in the second row. The opacity of the brush is at 100% and the size is at 17. And let's go in here and just make these very simple tree shapes, like palm trees. And over here, just these curved lines moving outward from the trunk. And then finally this one. And there you have created a wonderful watercolor art piece. I think this would look really nice hanging on a wall. Next, let's create a colorful little monster. For your brush, you need the monoline brush, and for the first color, we need the second one in the first row. The opacity of the brush should be at 100%, and I have the size at 30, and at first we'll make a circle. Hold your pen in place, and you can tap one finger on the screen, doesn't really matter if you want a perfectly round circle. Let's go for something like this, and then drag in the color. Let's move our circle by going to the Move and Transform tool. Let's place it about here. And then let's go to the magic wand and to Liquify. Set it to push with distortion and momentum set to none. Make the brush a little bit bigger at 60%. And now we can push and pull. Let's even go bigger. Let's go for 80. We'll make the underside a bit more flat, the sides a bit wider. This will be the base of our monster's body. I think something like this looks good. Then we'll make a new layer on top of this. We'll tap the plus and we'll grab this color, fourth color in the second row, and we'll make a circle for its eye. Hold your pen in place, tap one finger on the screen. Then here at the top, you can tap circle, move it around a bit. Let's place it about here and drag in the color. Now we'll add a mouth on a new layer. We'll tap the plus, and for the color, we'll grab this one, third color in the second row. And let's draw a mouth like this. Drag in the color. There, I think that's a nice looking mouth. Now let's make a layer on top of this. Let's tap the plus and set this layer to clipping mask so we'll stay inside of the mouth. And then let's grab the fourth color again in the second row. And then let's make two of these rounded teeth. Drag in the color. And then let's just merge these together. I'm happy with the mouth. Then let's go to the eye layer and make a layer on top. Then grab that dark color again, third color in the second row. And then make another circle. Hold your pen in place and tap one finger on the screen for a perfectly round circle. You can tap circle here to move it around. I think this looks nice. Drag in the color. Then tap and hold the eraser to make it switch to the monoline brush. And then just erase a part. Hold your pen in place again, tap one finger on the screen for a perfectly round erase circle, and then erase this part as well. Then let's immediately add a little bit of shading to the eye. Let's go to this white layer, tap it, turn on alpha lock so we won't be able to go outside the shape. And then let's go to the spray paints and use the medium nozzle and grab this color, that first color in the third row. Now the opacity of this brush is at 60% and the size at 20. Maybe let's go for 15. And let's go over the underside here for a little bit of shading. Now next we are going to add all the limbs to our monster. And this is where you can go wild. Let's first merge the mouth and the eye layer together. Actually, they can go together. Now let's tap the plus for a new layer and drag it underneath the body. And then for our color, let's grab this yellow. First color in the first row. First, grab the monoline brush again under calligraphy. And then let's make a line going down like this. Tap one finger on the screen for a perfectly horizontal line. Another one next to it, like this. Then we need a bend like this for its foot. And then a line like this, a horizontal one. Let's connect it here. And make sure it's closed at the top. then drag in the color, and then let's make it more tidy at the bottom. Let's grab the eraser, let's make it a little bit bigger, 30%, and erase the bottom. Let's just make a horizontal line. Tap one finger on the screen as you hold it to make it perfectly horizontal. Now we can simply duplicate this leg. Let's slide to the left, tap duplicate, then go to the move and transform tool and use flip horizontal. And then we can move that leg over here. Then let's give it another color. Let's grab the second color in the second row and drag it on there. Now let's make a bunch of arms. Let's make a layer on top of this one. Let's tap the plus. And then for our brush, let's grab the script brush. I always feel like I have a bit more control with that brush that has pressure sensitivity. The harder you press, the thicker your line will become. Now we are going to create a bunch of arms. Now for this brush, the opacity is at 100%. The size is at 12. And let me start with yellow. First color in the first row, but you can pick whatever color you like. I'll make a shape like this. Close it, drag in the color, and I'll make a variety of arms. First color in the second row. Rounded shape. That would be nice to have another eye in. Also one over here. Just go wild with the arms. Maybe they have little fingers. Let's also add a purple one with the second color in the second row. This one has more fingers. And let's also use red. Let's grab this color, third color in the first row, for another one over here. Then I'd also like some more like floating eyes or eyes on like sticks. Let's grab this color, first color in the first row. But to make circles, I need the monoline brush again. Otherwise you get a bit of a wobbly circle. So we'll make one over here, make it perfectly round, nice and big. And then another one next to it with this color, first color in the second row. Let's place one here. Drag in the color. And then on a layer underneath this, let's go here and then tap the plus. We need those sticks. Let's grab the script brush again. And let's first grab this purple, second color in the second row. I'll add that here. And then for the other one, let's use a red. Let's grab this color, third color in the first row for another one. And then let's make even more arms on a layer on top of the body. So we'll go all the way to the top, tap the plus. Let's start with red. Let's start with the third color. And let's make an arm over here. Close the shape, then drag in the color. And let's make it attach to that body here. Nicely follow that curve. Then we can tap and hold the eraser to make that tidy. Just go along that edge. Now it's nicely attached. Then let's switch to this color. First color in the third row. Let's grab the brush and then let's make another arm over here. We can go in front of the others. Make a nice curve here. Drag in the color. And then maybe one over here. Let's use yellow for that. First color. First, let's make big shape, rounded shape, in which we can put another eye. And then down to the body. Make a shape like this. Drag in the color. also here. And then let's use the eraser to make a curved shape like this. Next, let's drop in some eyes. Let's first add some eyes on this layer. Let's tap the plus. Then let's grab the monoline brush again because we need perfectly round circles. Then we'll grab the fourth color in the second row. And for instance, I want an eye over here. Make it perfectly round, drag in the color. I also want one over here. Drag in the color. Smaller one over here. I also want one here. And over here. Let's tap circle in case you want to move it around. And we also need one here, but it's behind this shape, so we need to put that on another layer. We can put it on top of this layer. Let's tap the plus here. And then create another circle. Hold your pen in place, tap one finger on the screen, and then drag in the color. Then we need the pupils. Let's make a new layer on top of this one. So we can start with this eye. Let's grab the third color in the second row. Let's draw a circle here. Hold your pen in place. You can move it around by using edit here. Drag in the color. Then tap and hold the eraser to make it switch to the monoline brush. So you can also add a little highlight. Then let's go to the top to these eyes and tap the plus for a new layer on top of those. And then for each of these eyes, we need the brush and not the eraser. And for each of these eyes, we'll add a pupil. Drag in the color. This one as well. And they don't have to look the same. All of them, you can vary it a bit. Add this one. And let's add a highlight to the ones at the top. So we'll grab the eraser again. And also for these, you can vary them a little bit. Some will be right at the edge. And some not. Then let's shade the eyes so we can start merging the eye layers. Let's go to this layer, add alpha lock or turn on alpha lock. Then go to the spray paint brush again, the medium nozzle, and we'll use that light pink color again. And I'll go over the lower parts, add a bit of that pink over here as well. Just over the undersides. So once you have done this, you can merge these two. We can save some layer space here. Then go to this one. That's the one behind the other eye. Tap it, turn on alpha lock, and then do the same here. Add some of that pink, and then pinch these together. So now your monster will look a bit like this, or completely different, and then that's fine also. Now let's go back to our script brush over here. And now we are going to add some color variety. We're going to add some dots and some colorful stuff to our monster before we start shading him. And let's start with perhaps the legs. Let's pinch these together. And let's turn on alpha lock so we won't be able to go outside the shape. And let's grab the red third color in the first row. I want to add a little dot here, and maybe these toes. Maybe also a red dot here, and maybe some yellow there. First color in the first row. And for the toes here, we can use this color, the black or near black. Some toes. And then we are going to do similar things to the other limbs. Let's go to this layer, turn on alpha lock, and let's just add some dots and colored patterns. I'll start with the yellow and add yellow over here. And maybe a yellow dot here. And on this arm, then I'll switch to the purple, second color in the second row. Maybe some dots. But you can really decide for yourself what type of patterns you would like for your monster. Now for some red, third color in the first row. I'd like to add some of that over here. And maybe some of this color, that darker red, fourth color. We can use that here. Then let's move to the body, layer 1 here. Let's tap it, turn on alpha lock, and then let's add color there as well. Let me start with the purple, second color. We can also make the brush a bit bigger actually. Let's go for 40%. And let's make a shape like this. Maybe some dots. Then let's move to the yellow. Like a shape like this. Just go over the other. Some yellow here. And then for some red, third color in the first row. I think we can use some over here. And maybe a nice big dot. Maybe some dots over here. And then let's grab this color, first color in the second row. I'll just layer these colors on top of each other. And then maybe some more yellow, first color in the first row. I think it's nice to have these colors overlap a bit. Maybe we can add some purple, some more second color in the second row. Drop that here. Yeah, I think he looks nice. Now let's go to this layer. We have some more arms. Let's tap that layer, turn on alpha lock. And then with this purple, we can add a bit over here. Then let's switch to the red, third color in the first row. For a little bit over here. And then maybe some of that fourth color in the first row. All right, now all we need is some shading for our monster. And we are going to do that with multiply layers. Let's start with the legs. Let's go there and let's actually pinch them together with those like sticks there. Then let's tap the plus for a new layer, set that new layer to clipping mask so that whatever we do, it'll show up on this layer. Then we'll tap the N and scroll up to multiply. Multiply is great for shadows. And we will also use the spray paint brush again, the medium nozzle set to this dark red color, fourth color. And then let's go over this top area. Let's actually make the brush a little bit bigger, 25%. Let's go over there, add some of that shadow, and also a little bit on the underside here. And for this area, we need to go along that underside of that eyeball. I want this area to be a little bit darker, so we'll also grab that third color in the second row for an extra deep shadow there. And then we'll do the same thing, but just with the red color for the other layers. So let's start with this one, tap the plus, set that layer to clipping mask, tap the N, and scroll up to multiply. So we have all the arms that are like behind the body shape. So we can go here, add some shadow, and here, right where it's behind the body, and a little bit on the underside. Thinking of how the light is coming from the top. Then over here, close to the body, and along the bottom part. For this one as well. Then we have this eyeball. Add a bit to the bottom for this one as well. Then we have this one, a little bit on the underside, this arm, and it's really starting to add depth to our little monster. A little bit here on the underside. And then let's go to the other arms here at the top. Let's tap the plus, set that layer to clipping mask, and then tap the N, and scroll up to multiply. So then we'll do the arms and eyes that are in front of the body. Here also along the underside. This also nicely separates this arm from that one that is behind it. And this one. And then finally we need to add that same shadow to the body. So we'll go to this layer, tap the plus, set the new layer to clipping mask, then tap the N and scroll up to multiply again. And then again, we'll go along the underside like this, very gently, adding that shadow. We can also add a little bit underneath the eye. I think he looks like a supermodel. And that's it for my 10 fun drawing ideas for Procreate. If you have enjoyed this, then I think you will like this video next. Thank you for watching. See you next time.